Èwo ni arákùnrin tí wọ́n ń pè ní Anikulapo?
Orúkọ mi kì í ṣe Anikulapo. Saru lórúkọ mi.
Kunle Afolayan's Anikulapo is both simple in its story and beautiful in its cinema language, crafting a movie about love, lust, greed, power, polygamy, betrayal, ambition, and arrogance, with a narrative that is sometimes intimate yet epic, but it plays slow and loose in its structure. In fact, its second part often flounders in shallow waters, making room for an unsurprisingly predictable climax in its third act. Director Kunle Afolayan directs a tale that requires a little patience, and by the end of its play, that patience doesn't really pay off as one might hope, even as a reasonable long watch that it is. Let's review. Warning, few spoilers ahead. Anikulapo tells a tale about an Ashofi weaver and traveler played by Kunle Remi who makes his way into a new village. After an affair with the king's favorite wife leads to his demise, the zealous traveler encounters a mystical bird with the power to give him another chance at life and gaining away with the power of resurrection himself. Anikulapo renders a simple story parched with simple message in its telling that plays out like a cautionary tale heavy with human elements mixed with a yard of mysticality. With a great production value in its set design, props, costume, and overall world, and Jonathan Cobble's alluring cinematography, we immediately feel the presence of the pre-colonial world and even feels like we can be part of it, not on the kind of scale that we might hope given its enormous budget. A city like Oyoile gets just the gate and the palace and doesn't give us a full scope of the kingdom. Opening with a prologue of the concept of death and burial before introducing us to Saru, who begins as a humble weaver but soon stumbles into great power, and with that power comes fame, wealth, but also marks the beginning of his downfall. The movie's sole language was Yoruba, and be it as beautiful as it is, the dialogues were mostly okay and not rich as expected, not in proverbs and rendition, given how well the Yoruba culture basks in pride and tradition. Rhymes, man, rhymes. On the casting front, everybody was well cast from the lead to the supporting and even the extras, with Kunle using the opportunity to introduce his daughter Yeyemi Afolayan, who played Omomi, daughter of one of the Alafin queens, and given her acting debut, she was quite okay in it. The chemistry between Kunle Remi as Saru and Bimbo Ademoye as Arolake is beautiful to watch, as both render their roles with such complexity and believability, and it is one of the best things about the movie. But the genesis and progression of their love is glossed over so quickly and makes you wish for that instead of some unwanted scenes. King's unwanted flashback. Saru as a character isn't written to be relatable or exceptional upon his introduction, as he is just a simple traveler who, with the great power of his prick, climbs the ladder of favor and power as he couldn't keep it in his pants. Kunle Remi's first foray into Yoruba movies is admirable, and it shows his versatility as an actor, as he easily embodied his role with the success of an anti-hero archetype with irredeemable qualities written to be hated. Bimbo Ademoye, as always, is a delight, and she renders the most strange as a woman on an emotional roller coaster. She follows her heart for love and happiness, which leads them into troubling waters, and we're supposed to feel bad that she gets chewed up in the mechanics of Saru's ambition. Her inability to conceive a child, for which her society deemed her useless for, makes us empathize with her, but only if she was contented, she might have suffered less and wouldn't be left with a broken heart of a sorrowful story that leaves her lonely and vulnerable. And Bimbo Ademoye delivers this performance to a profound fashion. Shola Sobowale in the supporting stand renders her character to such enjoyable portrayal. We don't get to see her signature shouts and over-the-top gestures, and it is why we love this period sugar mommy to heart. The casting of Kae-Kazim as the king of Ojumo as a non-speaking king is also admirable, as the mystery behind his muteness took away the need for the actor to learn Yoruba or even murder the language in the process. Kunle Afolayan's tribute and respect to the legend of the Yoruba movie industry is truly evident in this movie. He puts everyone in the appropriate space, and they all play to their strengths, enabling a beautiful synergy that induces nostalgia. The set design, props, and costume lend the movie valuable production credibility, and this created an impressive ambience. The color and lighting is impressive until it becomes too glaring that a big HMI light is standing in for a brighter moon, and some areas don't get the appropriate color balance. But all this doesn't take you out of the experience. And then there's the dodgy VFX in the opening. Anikulapo, even as it builds on the foundation of elementary in a story that gives it some nuance, fails to get to its point as it is bogged down by pacing issues. But that isn't new for a Kunle Afolayan movie. Some scenes could be cut to be clinical and precise, and it would have in no way faltered the structure of the story. Other factors too that created a questionable thought while watching falls deep within the telling, as one will find it totally unbelievable that a bird reputed to hold the power of life and death would be frightened off easily by a mere mortal and lose its power in the process, and with not enough care to want it back. And that segues into other questions like, why did the bird not search for its god? How did Arolake quickly figure out what to do with the god with no backstory of what she knows about the bird and how much she knows? Did the Akala bird have to suspend its duties in the interim? Wouldn't Saro's many resurrection offset the continuum of life and death or the balance of nature in any way? Is the dust or sand really what makes it work? How did Arolake know that would render the god powerless? And how come it was only revealed at the very end, if not for a moment of tension? And then there are other questions like, why didn't the Oyoile king do anything about his wife? Neither were there any hunt or inquisition about her whereabouts. Why did the evil forest have an eerie and terrifying status only after Saro and Arolake came out of it? So the evil forest went on evil vacation? Who knows? The king of Ojumo too, since he was dignified enough to get flashback, not that anybody was asking, it would have been somewhat cool to see the story behind why he just can't speak publicly again. But of course, we can't have that, as Kazim's American accent and inability to speak Yoruba would have been the drags of socials. Then there is the case of nudity. Now, we're not opposed to seeing nudity done in a tasteful fashion only if it adds to the story. I mean, who doesn't want to see some sweet boobs, even though they were prosthetic of course. But in the case of Anikulapo, it didn't. It felt like nudity for nudity's sake and not cause it propels the plot forward or creates a moment of vulnerable intimacy between Saro and Arolake. Honestly, some of these questions might not even matter to the average Joe watching, but we ought to point some of them out. In the end, Anikulapo starts with such promise in its simplicity and is decently entertaining with a simple story that is visually appealing as Kunle Remi and Bimbo Ademoye display performances that brings out the emotional complexity of a dysfunctional couple. Its lengthy runtime tends to dilute its dramatic weight, and we are left only with the message that power corrupts, never travel with the emotions of a woman, and it portrays polygamy in the classist light. And in all honesty, we know all of that already. You can't fault Anikulapo's ambition, as it is bold and daring in its telling, with sex, nudity, rape, violence, harassment, and assault, layered with life lessons with beautiful aesthetics, but it's truly hard to vouch for, with some unnecessary scenes and very predictable ending, which in no sense is bad, and a lost sense of focus in its second half. So, what do you think of our review? Do you agree? Do you not? Have you seen Anikulapo? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please do give us a thumbs up. If you don't, though. For more movie and TV related content, make sure you subscribe to Popcorn and Reels, hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we drop a new video, and remember, wherever you are, never ever stop watching movies. Catch you guys soon. Peace. Wallahi, this moon, kai. It's brighter than Buhari's regime. Come on now.